What's up, everybody? I'm George Mossey. Welcome to the George Mossey Show. Gina and I are here. We're talking about the reunion of Love Island. What season was this, Gina? I think it was seven, right? Season seven?
Seven.
Season seven reunion Love Island. So we watched it, and almost all 27 cast members were brought back, right? Like there wasn't a lot of missing people. Obviously Sierra was missing. And what's that one girl's name? The one that said the N-word? She was obviously missing. But everybody else was there, and Ariana and Andy. Do you think that they asked all the right questions? Like
Yes, yes, they did.
that's what I was wondering because I was like, do you think that we got the closure that we needed? Because, a lot of times we don't get the questions answered that we need answered. So I'm hoping that you got all of the answers you needed because right after it aired, we found out that some people weren't together anymore. We'll get into that a little later. But tell me some of the things that stood out to you as we went through this 2 hour reunion for Love Island. Like some of the stuff that stood out to you.
Um, some of the stuff that stood out to me the most was the falling out between Huda, Olandria, and Shelley, right? I don't know if you're aware of what the context behind that.
Well, I always felt like the girls never liked Huda in the house, right? Like I felt like Huda was always the odd girl out, right? Do you ever
Yeah,
think that the girls ever liked her? I felt like she was always someone that they just didn't care for.
because she was crazy.
She's also not a girl's girl, so I just think that in the end, it didn't surprise me that they didn't, they kind of called her out for some of the things that she did. But well, I want to ask you this question though, because apparently, um, hold on, let me make sure I have this right. There was some racial posts online that Alandria and Shelley had to deal with, right, online. And they confronted
Hmm.
Huda because they felt like she was silent. She didn't like come to their defense apparently, and they felt like it was very hurtful, and it made it seem like Huda didn't care that they were suffering and being dragged all over the internet. Do you agree with that? Do you disagree with that? Is it Huda's
I
responsibility to defend them?
Well, here's the thing. Huda said she would make a post and then she backtracked and didn't make that post. She basically said she would confront because I think it was all the Huda followers that were doing it. And then she played the victim saying that she's getting dragged under the mud too for being from Palestine and whatever. But two, like as you say before, two wrongs don't make a right, right? But if she said she was going to do something, she should have done it, basically.
I mean, you're right. If she told them that, you're only good for your word, right? So if you tell someone you're going to do something, you should do it. And I think that the fact that it had to do with defending them over racist posts and then she didn't do it, it made it worse. Like, say, for instance, if she would have said, like, oh, I'm going to post the dress you wore because I really liked it, it wouldn't be as serious for her not doing it because it's not that serious of a subject. I think the fact that it had to do with defending racism that they were facing and she didn't follow through made it worse. I think that and Huda said that she also suffered some racism as well online. Did you notice that at the tell all? She was like, well, I'm not the only one that dealt with, you're not the only one that dealt with racist posts and everything as well. Cause I think what's Huda's nationality? I think that I can't remember specifically.
Palestine.
Right. And in the news right now, there's a lot going on with her, that country and her background. And she was like, well, you two aren't the only one going through that. How do you feel about that? Because she felt like, yeah, you're going through that, but my culture, my nationality is also going through that. Is that not important to you? Like, because they felt like it was more important that they were suffering racism and issues than anyone else. How do you feel about that?
Well, if She said she was going to do something, then backtracked, didn't do it, and then she plays the victim card, like, well, I'm also being a victim as well. Then at the same time, like if you say you're going to do something, just do it. Don't go back on your word. Like it's called tolerance, and obviously you don't have that. No matter what your skin color is, no matter like what your nationality is, it's called tolerance and acceptance. And clearly, she didn't take accountability. She didn't stand on business, like they like to call it. She didn't stand on business and said she was going to do something, and then she took a word back, be like, "No, I don't want to do." Like she didn't do it. Like I don't understand. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Especially if if I'm going through the same thing but different circumstances, of course I'm going to do it.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think that, I don't know, but at the end of it, I feel like the girls never liked Huda, and this was like a really easy way for them to materialize their hatred for her. They're like, well, we never liked her in the villa anyway, but since she didn't do this post, now we can show the world that they should hate her too. I kind of felt like this was like an easy way for them to, solidify their feelings for her. And at the end of the day, you're right. If she would have just did what she said she was going to do, then that avenue wouldn't have been left open for her. Because, a lot of people speculated that Huda wasn't even going to show up to this
Hmm.
reunion because she was gonna get it, and she did get it. Gina, they gave it to her hard, right? Like they came for her. Do you feel like she handled herself well? Do you think that she was able to dish what she could take? Because she took a lot at this reunion. Do you feel like she was able to hold her own?
No, because every question she wanted to answer, it was either, and most of the answers from a lot of people were PR answers, or she dodged it.
So, what do you think about the fact that she claimed that she couldn't discuss her dating life because Netflix told her not to? Like, what
It
is that
wasn't
about?
Netflix. It wasn't Netflix. She's not under any NDNA whatsoever. The
Well,
guy that she's
she said Netflix.
because the guy she's dating is on a Netflix show right now.
But what does that have to do with the reunion and her answering questions?
It's just a cover up. She's always not been the person to stand on business.
I'm beginning to think that she's like a full of shit person, you
She
know?
is.
And,
She is.
a lot of people have been saying it this whole time, like in the villa and outside the villa. It's just been, the same shit with her. And, if you're going to show up to the reunion, but you're not going to participate and you're not going to answer any questions, maybe it would have been better if she didn't come. Because really,
Exactly.
at the end of the day, what did she bring to the table for this reunion? She didn't really answer any questions. I mean, they did call her out for the heart rate challenge. The way that she was twerking in Ace's face and kind of crossing the
Licking
line.
him. Oh, yeah.
They
They
did.
showed that extended scene.
That was interesting because we didn't get to see the full thing, so we got to see the full scene on the reunion, and they called her out for it, and she had to apologize. But I felt like anytime that Huda apologized on the reunion, it was because she felt like she was cornered and she had to. I don't really feel like she felt like she did anything wrong. I think she's one of those people who always feels like she's always right and everyone else is against her. But I felt like she felt cornered, right? And she apologized on the reunion because she felt like if she didn't, there would be backlash. And I don't think that she actually thinks she did anything wrong. I don't believe that.
I I don't believe it either. I think she plays the victim and she plays the victim card and she in her little Delulu world, she'll never think that she's at fault or if she's wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right. So, okay, so Chris felt like seeing Huda was weird for him. And then I think Ariana asked, they were like, after all is said and done, like, do you see Huda as someone that you could be friends with? And he said, no. He said that there would never be a world or universe where he could be friends with her. Like, that was kind of harsh, right? Because at the end of the day, yeah, things didn't work out with them. Obviously, we saw it all completely fall apart, I think, on the finale. But he just said that even seeing her and being around her was hard for him. That says a lot.
Well, yeah, because she put him through like this torture. Like if he had like seen what we saw, right, then basically it would like he's going back thinking like, holy shit, like she's crazy. She's like she is crazy. And it's like not only him, it's also Jeremiah. It's also everybody else. Like
Well,
who does stuff like that?
I'm gonna say that Chris had a TV. Like, I'm not gonna believe that he entered the villa not knowing what was going on. I'm pretty
No,
sure.
they watch the episodes until they get on their
Yeah,
like
so him
on
pretending like he
their
didn't know that Huda was crazy, I ain't buying that. He knew she was crazy. He was fully aware that Huda ain't have all of the screws in the toolbox. So for him to be like, "Oh, I don't, like the way things ended, or I don't like how she treated me and the way that she acted," and like you knew that. You tried to couple with the craziest person there, and then you're gonna try to say, "Well, she's too crazy for me." That's kind of your fault. Like if you watch what we saw, because we saw it. We saw that she's missing a lot of screws. He went to try to couple with the one with the most issues. That's on him. Like for real, that's really on him.
right? Like, oh God, yeah. I she grinds my gears and I was hearing point of views from different people and it was actually interesting to hear those point of views from different people of what they thought of her as well as Amaya. And I don't know if you remember, but do you remember Jade, who was on that one episode of 90 Day Fiancé, Mark's ex?
Yeah, I remember Jade. Yeah.
Okay, so she watches 90 Day Fiancé, or 90 Day Fiancé. She watches the Love Island as well. And then she's just like, was not liking, she loves Alondria and Shelley, but she does not like Amaya. And she gave me her point of view. And it actually kind of makes sense. It's not like I'm not gonna like betrayed Amaya. I'm always going to be an Amaya lover, but she made some excellent points where she said, how can Amaya be all BFF with Huda, where when Huda, with her actions, can't even stand up on the whole racism thing between Shelley and Olandria? And then I said, well, it could be that Amaya's always a people pleaser, right? But these people are young and stupid. All right. So that was basically what I said to that as well. But it was I was like, I love hearing other people's point of views, just like you do as well. You love hearing other point of views that you don't see and that you're blind to as well, because you're giving people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I
It
mean,
makes sense.
I don't know. I don't like to judge people like based on who their friends are. Like obviously Amaya stood by Huda, right? But I don't want to judge Amaya for being, standing by her because you can stand by someone as a friend and not necessarily agree with their actions, but you do acknowledge a friendship between that person and you. Like you can have a friend that um voted for, let's say, a president you didn't vote for, and you can still have a friendship with that person, but you disagree with what they did. But outside of that one area, y'all might have other things in common. So I try not to like tell people, oh, well, you did this one thing and I don't agree with this one thing, so I could never support you. I try not to do that at the end of the day because at the end of the day, we're all different. We all, like you said, see things differently. We all have different point of views and perspectives, and we all have different reasons for what we believe and what we don't believe and what we do and what we don't do. So I don't want to like throw Amaya under the bus
No,
necessarily,
no,
because
no, not at all.
I don't think that she supports any type of racism or anti-Semitic. I don't think she supports any of that. But at the end of the day, you can be friends with somebody and then you find out later. I remember we were doing a podcast together, you and I and Shabuti, and we found out from one of our listeners on that podcast that she was dating somebody for a while. And the girl was like, I didn't even know he was racist until we were dating for a while. Right. And it's like, because you find out things about people that you may not have known. So it's like, yeah, she could be friends with her, but if for instance, if Huda allegedly is supportive of those type of behavior, she might not have known. So I can't blame Amaya for something she might not have picked up on or noticed or saw for herself.
And I was also watching other content from other like people, basically, other people who are Palestinian, like from like Palestinian and whatnot, and have that background, and they're like, oh, what's it called? Hood is proclaiming that she's Muslim and whatever, which is fine and dandy, but at the same time, she's also disrespecting herself and her body, right? By going on this show, right? By, you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah,
Like,
that's true. That's actually true. I mean, you're not wrong.
and they're not wrong, right? Like, and I was telling Jade, I'm like, if my parents saw me on TV acting like that, my God, they can't even fly, and they would find a way to go to Fiji and rip me a new one and put me in a convent where all these nuns are, like,
Well,
because
yeah.
it's not the way to act, right? Like, you want to present yourself with dignity and with integrity and respect your body at the same time.
So, so at the beginning of the reunion, there was Brian and Amaya addressed some rumors. This is all irrelevant now because we know that they're together. But apparently, there was viral cheating rumors because he did a gig at a club and it was on TikTok, and they showed him pouring shots, I guess, into women's mouths, and it seemed a little, for someone who was supposedly in a relationship, they felt like it seemed a little disrespectful. So he defended himself and Maya defended him as well. But this is all irrelevant because at the end of the day, they're not together. So I wanted to get your reaction on that. Are you surprised they're not together? Are you not surprised they're not together? Because remember, they got together at the tail end of the season, right? Like they didn't spend a lot of time together. They didn't know each other very well. So are you surprised that they broke up, like it fell apart that quickly?
Well, at first they were doing like appearances together and whatnot. And as soon as like I kind of saw the shift of like him hanging out with the boys, I'm like, oh, and I know they live in different cities, right? She's a New Yorker, he's from Boston, right? So I knew it was going to be like, oh, this is not a good sign, right? When you're like, and then he says that, well, it's irrelevant now, as you said, but then he's like, oh, I used to do this as a job, right? Okay, cool. But it's not your job anymore. You don't have that job anymore. So
I
that's
don't
just
know.
like an excuse for your actions.
Well, I think what happened, this is just my perception. When you go on a show like Love Island, you might have a few followers and you might, have a few fans, but when you're done with the show, your audience is elevated beyond your wildest dreams. And I think that a lot of times these kids aren't equipped to deal with the level of attention that they go from before entering the villa to after they leave the villa. So like maybe he had every intention to be in a committed, exclusive relationship with Amaya, but when he left the show, and hundreds and hundreds of thousands, and probably millions of people that know who he is now, and all the women that were probably throwing themselves at him at all these club appearances. I don't know if he was equipped to deal with that, right? And he might have
No.
had every intention to be a good Christian boy, right? Like, but at the end of the day, when you show up to a place and there's hundreds of people, especially women, screaming your name, there's people pushing their way to
Throwing
you.
themselves out, yeah, throwing themselves at you, the temptation is real.
It's very
Once you
real, Gina, right? It's so real.
once you leave the villa, the temptation is real.
I think that that is a good example of that club appearance because all of them are probably dealing with it now, right? Like when they went into the villa versus when they came out, they're in a whole new world. They live in a different universe compared to beforehand. So anywhere they can't even walk through the airport without people. What's your? Can I get your a picture? Can you follow me? Can you hug me? Can you FaceTime this person? Like their whole world is different, and for these are very beautiful people. I have to throw this in
Hmm.
there. These are very beautiful people. So imagine you're beautiful and now you're known across the whole nation. The whole world knows you. You can go to places that don't even speak English and they know who you are. And you're
Well,
trying
even
to yeah, you're
even when
trying to
they
navigate
left,
that.
even when they left before Fiji, like at the airport in Fiji, people recognize them.
It I think that becoming who these people are becoming and dealing with this level of fame, I think that they're definitely experiencing, a lot of temptation and change. And if they're not strong enough, they're not going to be able to stay exclusive.
No, they're not. And especially if you started like later in the game and like even Taylor's still with Clark. He hardly said anything on the reunion, which is like I don't know what happened there. I think he didn't really have much commentary on the reunion, but like that's fine,
Well,
But
he never had much to say, even on the show. I think I've said this before. He seemed very absent-minded, or what's the name? Empty-headed, right? Like he,
mhm.
he definitely didn't have much to say. I always felt like he didn't have much of a personality on the show, and I felt the same way about Ace. I think I've told you that before. He has like zero personality. I didn't understand the appeal. I didn't understand how he made it as far as he did. And Taylor, I felt the same way about. I was just like, what's going on with this guy? Because I was like, he doesn't really have an opinion. When they give him the spotlight to talk, he talks, but nothing. He doesn't say anything. You're just as confused before he started talking than after. So it was interesting though to see him just be so silent. Because even Clark, she spoke up. She spoke her piece on a few different things. But yeah, Taylor was just kind of there because I guess it was required, right? Like he
Yeah.
really didn't participate.
He was the NPC. He was an NPC
They
basically.
could have put him in the little green room with the other NPCs, right? Because they gave him a seat on stage, but they should have gave that seat to somebody else because he really didn't contribute anything to this reunion at all.
So, and then we have Iris and Pepe, who basically are not together anymore. I sent you the TMZ thing. He confirmed it as well. They unfollowed each other. So, no further information has been revealed about that. Allegedly, he banged a girl in a hotel lobby, but allegedly, like I said.
A hotel.
So,
How do you do that in the
huh?
lobby? The
I,
lobby?
that's what I read.
That's a bit much. Like you couldn't even go to the room.
That's what and then the girl who said that it was awkward for her because she had to work with him for the whole day. And I'm like, well, who the fuck told you to bang him? Pardon my French, but like you banged him. It was like there was consent. It wasn't the R word, right? Like you authorized this.
Oh, so
You
she
make your
said
own decision.
she should have banged him at the end of the shift, not the beginning of the shift. Is that what she's saying?
Well,
I
no,
guess
she used I'm like, wow. Like
that's
she
like
was
a
just said, "Oh, it made it awkward because I was working with him for the next day or something like that." I'm like, "You brought this upon yourself. If it is true, you brought this upon yourself. So how is it awkward? You make your own decisions, right? Regardless if you're sober or not, right? You
yeah.
make that choice.
I
No
mean,
one
it's
else
only
makes it for you."
yeah, and it doesn't surprise me because I think he is a basketball player or a former basketball player, so
Mhm.
getting involved with a basketball player means that you're involved with every girl on the planet because that basketball players are involved with every girl with a pulse. So if you think you're in a
Yes,
relationship with a basketball player, you are, but you're also
you're
in a
not.
relationship with every other girl in the world. So you need to be
You're a
very
you're a
oh,
side piece.
well, right. Even if you're a basketball player's wife, you're still just a side piece because he has multiple. I think they define that song "Girls in Different Area Codes." Every time
I
they go
wanted
to a
to say
different.
that, but I didn't want to sing it. I didn't want to sing it because it could be offensive. But like,
Well, it's true.
yeah,
Every time they go to a different city, they have a girl that they're going to meet up with in that city. So
exactly.
Pepe's a
It's
basketball player, so that doesn't surprise me. I guarantee you, Pepe hooks up with a different girl in every city. Whenever he does an appearance or whenever he's doing something, there's a girl in his phone that he can call that he can hook up with. So it
it's
doesn't
on the
surprise
roster. It's on the roster. They're bench
exactly.
warmers.
So it
They're
doesn't
bench
surprise.
warmers, just like him.
I mean, I tell people all the time. I was like, if you're getting involved with a basketball player, just know he's cheating on you. Right? Like just be and don't get
Yeah.
mad because you should have known. Don't get mad because you don't have to be involved with a basketball player. You want to be involved with a basketball player. So just know, when he kisses you, you kissing the girl that he was with earlier today. Just know that. Just know that is what it is.
So, and then we have like the NPCs. So I never heard the interview that Coco did after. I thought she was a cool chick from the villa, but turns out she was just vile. I didn't hear the podcast she went on or the interview that she did after, but apparently it was really bad.
What did she say? I didn't hear it.
Well, that's why Alandria and Shelley were on the defense with her, right? Like, did you not see what Coco? I didn't hear what she had said on the interview. All I just wrote that on my notes that she was being messy after the villa, on different podcasts, streaming, like whatever. I'm gonna have to find those podcasts because I want to hear what she
Yeah, they
said.
they all did so many, and I didn't get to see all of them. Every now and then, I would get a clip like a small clip of one or two podcasts. So I don't know what. It seemed like right after it ended, all the cast members were doing hundreds of podcasts a day. So it's like it was really
Yeah,
hard to keep up with everything. But I think a lot of times they go on these podcasts and they get main character syndrome where they're like, ooh, they're interviewing me. I get to do this and they're interested in me. And then they just start talking as though no one's gonna hear it and they
yeah.
start, being messy and saying, "Oh, I don't like this girl, and this person did this," and then there are other people. They're going to get this back to them, and they're going to hear it. And I think that, she was confronted at the reunion as she should have been. If you go on these podcasts and you say these things about people, people are going to confront you about the things that you said.
I
So,
guess I never really watched it or listened to it because like she was on there for like 3 episodes, so I just found her to be relevant anyways to the whole
well,
situation.
if yeah,
But
if I
now that
told
I
you,
know, but now that I know she was being messy, now I'm like, oh, I want to find that podcast. I want to find that interview.
well, yeah, I would totally watch it now. But yeah, like you said, there are people like um TJ and Elon, and there are people who were there for like a second, and it seems like those are the people that are want to do the podcast and they want to be out there more and more. And it's like, do I really want to watch what they have to say? They were only there for like a hot second. Like I don't even know
Exactly.
if it's worth it to watch a 60-minute podcast when they were on the show for less than 60 minutes. So it seems irrelevant. But yeah, now I'm kind of curious to know what she had to say about everyone. But I know the girls, they were very defensive towards her. And she was very apologetic, if I remember correctly, wasn't she? Like she was like, I didn't mean that, and that wasn't my intention, but the girls didn't care.
But she said it. Whatever she said it on a podcast. Like you got to think like before you speak, right? Or before you answer a question. You just can't go off like and pretend that no one's going to hear it. Absolutely not. Your words have actions and consequences, right? And
So
especially if you're using derogatory terms or you're basically dissing your cast members because I call them all cast members because that's what they are at the end of the day. right, or all actors or influencers. You're going to be confronted about the situation that occurred. And I'm very curious to find this podcast that she went on and
Speaking
like to
of,
see how vile she was.
I guess Ace did an interview with Speedy Mormon, and he basically said that the Olandria and Nick relationship was a sham.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that Nick had spoken to him in the villa and said that there was absolutely nothing romantic between Alandria and him. So he was
Mm-hmm.
like, they're basically playing this game, and they're writing it for all that they can write it for. So he went on that podcast and said that, which, again, that's I guess everyone is given and open to having their opinion. But I always felt like the Nick and Olandria their relationship was too convenient because they gave them the choice. They were like, you can leave the villa and go home, or you can come back as a couple. And I was like, well, you're just asking people to create a fake relationship. That was basically the rules of the game at that point. Because they had never really taken any time to build any type of connection with each other, which makes me believe there wasn't any. Because they were both in the villa from day one. These are both day
Mm-hmm.
one cast members, and they spent zero time trying to build a romantic connection until it was necessary in order for them to stay in the villa. So that makes me think that it probably wasn't genuine. And they're saying they're still together. Do you believe that shit? Do you think that they're just like, we can make more doing appearances together than we can separately? Or do you,
Like from okay, so I heard like watched the interview on YouTube. You weren't interested in watching it, but my takeaway from it was he had said it was his first interview outside of the villa. The first one. He's done probably clip-its with everybody else, but his first actual one where he sat down, did a formal interview, and or like a formal podcast. It was his like that was his first one he did. He said he watched the entire show, right? It gave me a different side. No, I'm not really a huge fan of Ace, but it totally gave me a kind of a different perspective and point of view from his angle, right? He had said he watched the entire show, which most of them have not. To like, and he said, I can see how you in the interview, I can see where you guys misinterpreted it, but you didn't see this part or you didn't see this part. It's all production. And then he continued to say that when making the decisions and who to get rid of, like a lot of the stuff was cut. And we know that. We've seen it on 90 Day, we've seen it on other reality shows. A lot of stuff gets cut, right? You basically, the production gives you what the audience wants to see, right? They don't give you the nitty gritty. They like he's like some of the decisions would take 30 minutes, but he basically said it was the conscience and the influence and like the influencers. Who did he refer to as influencers? But he didn't specify it was production, right? So remember how many times Huda was on the chopping block? It was production. He said that influencers, right? Quote unquote, influencers that made that decision. Because if you remember at one point, because he said that, oh, a lot of you might think that I stood behind Huda when with because Olandria stood behind her. That wasn't the case. He didn't even touch her hand when when she went to touch his hand to say thank you. It was the influencers. So he refers to the production as influencers. He stopped following the Love Island page.
mm,
And he's only cool with, he said, Brian will call me, check in on me. He's only cool with Taylor, Clark, Shelley, and Olandria.
interesting.
And he also mentioned that in the whole villa, it like how like African Americans, right? And if I'm using it, like I'm not using it out of context, so uh, and I hope I'm being politically correct. but they were like the therapists that everybody would go to in the villa. And they're already dealing with their own personal stuff too that's going on in the villa, but yet everyone's going to them for advice for everything.
Hmm.
It was actually really interesting. I know you don't like him. You're like, I can't see his face. I don't want to see his face, but it actually gave you a different insight of behind the scenes and what was going on. And he watched the entire show from its entirety. And he's like, I can see where you had like where you had where the audience would think I was like the master of like deception, and the ringleader. I can see why. You're, but they also didn't show this or that or whatever, right? So he went into the detail about that.
Eh, okay. I mean,
If you're bored one day, just put
I
it on
will.
as background noise.
I will never be that bored. I would never be that bored that I would watch anything that Ace recorded and put online. I will never be that bored. There will never be enough free time on this planet that I would sit down and consciously. You'd have to tie me down, like
But it just
restrain
gave
me.
me a different like insight, which was very interesting to see, right? Or very interesting to hear and see. And like not I'm not really a huge fan of Ace, but it gave me like a different perspective. I'm like, oh, makes sense, right? And then today I was listening to another podcast, the Vile something or other, and they had interviewed Austin. And he had said, they're like, what was with you yesterday or at the reunion, Austin? He's like, I was so tired. We were literally there for like 15 hours. So I was just losing my focus. And obviously, if you're there for so long, and finally, when someone asks you a question, you're like, wait, what? like, you're gonna lose focus, and like because it's not on you. You've been there for so long. You have the hot lights on you. It's a whole production.
Well, I understand that, but a lot of people are saying that because Austin always kind of seemed like he was high all the time and he like wasn't always there, so that's kind of how he was acting at the reunion. So I felt like
Well,
it
I
was it
did
was
send
kind of
you.
on brand. It was on brand for him, right? Like you would ask Austin a question and then he would answer the question, but he didn't actually answer the question. He would just have a conversation with you about something you didn't ask him. That's kind of like on brand for Austin. It seemed like every time you saw him, he had just finished getting high. Like that's just kind of how his personality was, which I didn't understand anything that ever came out of his mouth. Like, for instance, on the reunion, they asked him about his body count, and he said that he subtracted people from the body count. And Gina, you can't subtract people from your body count. Once you have sex with a person, the number stays the same. You can't lower the number. But again, Austin, in true Austin form, says, "Oh yeah, I've retracted some of those people," as if he went back in a time machine, like in Back to the Future, and unslept with them. But again, is anything ever coming out of Austin's mouth that you fully understand? No, and I
No, well, I sent you some posts on Instagram, and like this is allegedly, of course, because unless it comes from the horse's mouth, I don't believe anything that comes out of from different people or whatnot. But like allegedly, he has like an opioid addiction,
that allegedly sounds extremely accurate for what I've seen.
or
Allegedly.
or is dealing with it.
He
I don't know.
definitely seems like a tweaker for like in my opinion. Again, but it could have been like something that he dealt with in the past. But yeah, that allegedly aligns with what I've been seeing. Like that would explain so much. It would answer multiple questions that I already have.
Exactly. So I was just like, oh, this is interesting. I got to send this to George, and I got to send this to George. But that's apparently what had like occurred. But again, like it's all alleged because it didn't come from him or his people or whatever. So yeah. Who else? Oh, you know who I spoke very who spoke very well on the reunion? and like stood on business, spoke very well spoken, no drama at all, was Charlie.
Oh yeah, Charlie. Yeah, I did notice that. It seemed like he
Yeah.
was way more confident in himself at the reunion than he was on the season. And maybe he's found his voice since being on the show. But yeah, I did feel like he was way more confident in himself and he handled himself really well. So yeah,
Hmm.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah. I was just like, dang, Charlie. I'm like, you spoke more than you did on the whole villa. Holy shit. I was just like,
Well,
okay.
maybe he needed a little time, to warm up to the idea of being a big star, because a lot of times, like I said, they go in being just themselves and then they come out, they're a television personality, and it's kind of like overnight, like you don't really know. And then, it's very nerve-wracking when there's lights and cameras and people everywhere and everyone's like waiting for you to speak and you're nervous. And so I get it. I totally understand that. Love Island is like there's cameras everywhere. There's nothing that you can do or say where the world won't see it. The only place they won't show us is when they're in the shower. So like literally everything we're watching them like a hawk. So I totally understand how, you might be a little reserved at first because
Hmm.
you don't want to embarrass yourself in front of the whole damn world, right? Like you're just scared. You don't know what's going to come out of their mouth or your mouth, and you don't want them to use the footage when you doing something stupid. So I totally get it.
Yeah. Oh, and then another thing that Austin mentioned on this podcast that I heard today, and it's a recent podcast. So he said that, oh, they cut a lot of stuff out because when we were talking to what the stand on business challenge, when talking with Amaya, right? She was calling us like when we were trying to confront her, not confront her, but talk to her, she was being she was being rude. But again, we don't see it. If we don't see it, we don't believe it, type of thing like that. But he had said that she's just like, you are all the P word. You guys are all bleeping this, bleeping that, right? Like, and like not taking the criticism, right? But again, it's production. They'll always cut everything, but this is coming from Austin, so yeah.
Well, yeah, again, Austin, I take anything he says with,
With a grain of salt.
yeah, it's difficult to really. I feel like Austin is not fully there half the time. He's one of those people
Unless
where,
someone else, unless someone else like who is a reliable source, such as Landria or Shelly or someone else says the same thing, then like or Iris says the same thing, then I would believe it more if there was more sources behind that.
yeah, I feel the same way. I'm not gonna take it as though he's the voice of reasoning, right? Like I can't take it as though, oh well, if he said it, it's true. I would never feel that way for Austin. I think that, like you said, if it's backed up by some other people, then maybe I would take it seriously. But so I have a question because this is new for me. So for Love Island Games that premieres on the 16th of September, I know that it's going to be different people on from Love Island and even Love Island in the UK. So my question is, are there going to be cast members that won't be on it? Like, are they going to pick certain people from each version of the show? Because like, do you
I
think
believe so. And I think Chris is going to be on it.
so? Because that was my next question. I don't think we have an official list of who made it and who didn't. Right?
No, but I think Chris is going to be on it, though. I have a feeling.
Do you have any guesses of who you think is going to make it on versus who won't make it on? I mean, obviously Nick and Alondria, I think will be there. Obviously, I feel like Huda would be there, right? Do you feel like I feel like she would be a shoe-in because of all the drama that follows her everywhere she goes. But do you have an idea of like who do you think won't make it on? Who do you think? Because in my opinion, Taylor and Ace are boring and they shouldn't be there. But I feel like people like Ace, so he might be there. But I don't know about Taylor specifically. Like, what do you think is going to happen? Because when I thought about it, I was like, well, they can't have the entire cast because they're going to have certain people from each version of the show in different parts of the world in different seasons. So I was like, that means that a lot of these people might not even make it on.
No, I think it's going to be the NPCs. Like it might be, hmm, let's take a look
Oh,
here.
so
I'm
you
just
think it's
Googling.
gonna be the people that were in the little green room area? You don't think that the main characters will be there? I feel like some of the main characters will be there, right? Like
I
Nick and
think it's going to be,
Alandria, I feel like Nick and Alandria have to be there, right? Like I
I,
feel like they have to be.
I don't think so. I think who's going to be there because let's think about it, right? It's September, right? If it's live, then what's going to happen? It's going to be people that are not backed up with different PR stuff, right? So, like Amaya, because she won, probably her schedule's backed up, right? And then Nick and Alandria, same thing. And Shelly and Ace, they're a couple. Clark and Taylor, couple. Iris and Pepe, well, we never know with that because they're not a couple no more. Huda, everyone loves Huda. I don't know why. I'm still trying to scratch my head on that. Don't know what's going on with that. Um, Jeremiah, possibly, right? But uh, like he's been kicking it with Bella, but um, and then I think it's going to be mostly the NPCs.
I don't know. That's gonna make it boring for me. But it is what it is. I'm still excited to see what it's about and how they're going to work. Like, is it gonna be where you win the challenges, people get voted off, kind of like the show? So I'm interested in that part about it, but who's there is gonna be a big factor of how it keeps my attention. So I don't know. I'm really hoping that some of the good drama players will be involved because at the end of the day, I can't just watch a bunch of boring people on TV. I need to be entertained. I need something to keep my interest.
Well, we'll be entertained no matter. It doesn't take us long to get entertained. Let's think about like let's be honest about that. It
So
doesn't.
I've never seen this. So do you think we're in for like the real world road rules challenge type show, or do you think it's going to be a little different?
I think it's going to be a little bit different. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can find because it's this is season two of Love Island games. I'm going to see if I can find one episode and then see what it kind of is about, just so I can get a general idea. Because there's Love Island UK, Love Island US, Love Island Australia.
Yeah, yeah, let's see what it's about because I was thinking, oh, it'll be like Real World Road Rules Challenge, I guess, where they bring the people from all the different shows and they like compete in challenges, but that that isn't a dating show like Real World and stuff. That wasn't a dating show, so it has to have that dating aspect in it, I'm assuming.
Yeah, exactly. So then, did you see? I sent it to you on Instagram. Did you see Zach passed out when he was like on the like Zoom call or whatever?
Wait, what did you send me? Because I don't know what you're talking about.
I sent you a like it was on your Instagram, and there's photos of Zach passed out during the reunion.
Okay, I'm looking. I'm looking. I don't see that. Oh wait, I see it. I see it. Hold on. Like sleeping?
Yeah,
Oh, I do see it. Oh my God. Well, I guess they were filming for hours, like a long time, but nobody thought to wake him up. Or but where did they get this footage? Did this actually air during the reunion? Because I don't remember seeing that.
I don't remember seeing it either, but I if it's there, it's there.
Well, that's hilarious. I'm looking at it now. That's actually hilarious. I mean, that's how I felt during some of the footage. Like some of it was kind of boring, but it depended on who was talking and what they were talking about. But sometimes, like I said, some people were there and they brought nothing to the table, like Taylor. Like they were there, but we could have skipped out on that. But it just depended on what drama was unfolding. And it's funny that we watched so many episodes, like 40 episodes, and they were able to get the whole reunion in 2 hours. I was really surprised by that because we'll watch other shows like 90 Day Fiance and they can't get it into 2 hours. It's like 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. So I was like, look at them. They got it all in 2 hours. And I felt like at the end, we had talked about everything we needed to talk about. So I was a little impressed.
Right? It just depends on who's hosting it, I guess. So, like, I think the host did an incredible job. And the new host for Hunt for Love for 90 Day Fiance, I like her. She's messy. This is what I want.
Yeah, I think Suki is a good choice. I don't know if she's gonna. So I found out recently that Sean Robinson has an executive producer credit on the tell-alls, so she has a lot of pull on the show. Like you can't just remove the executive producer from hosting without going through several steps. So that makes me wonder. I was like, well, it's not as easy as just firing her because she's an executive producer on the tell-all. Because if you watch the credits at the end of the tell-all, her name is under executive producer. So
But
I'm
how can
wondering.
you be an executive producer if you don't even watch the show?
Well, there's plenty of executive producers that aren't involved in the show. I think that
If you
she's
don't watch it, and clearly she doesn't watch the show.
well, maybe she should just be an executive producer and be behind the scenes. At the end of the
Yes.
day, you're going to make your money, as the executive producer. But if you're not watching it, you don't necessarily have to be the host. Like, for instance, you can be the host without being the executive producer. Those are two separate positions. But I recently found that out, and that makes me wonder how difficult it might be to remove her from a show that she basically is in charge of, because you can't fire her because she has that credit. So that's something that I'm
Let
wondering.
her be the executive producer and let someone else who's messy host it.
Well, yeah, I agree. And I think that's how they were able to get around that with Hunt for Love. Hunt for Love is a new show. She has no ties to this show. So they had open reign to do whatever they wanted with the tell all, with the hosting, because she has no credits on the show at all. This is a new
I
venture.
actually tweeted TLC and was just like, I have not seen a tell all this interesting in a long time. Long time. I can't remember when.
Well, it's getting even more messy because they're gonna show, I guess, Cole the video of Rob and Jen together, which I think is really, really messy. And I was very, I was like, this is really messy. They're showing screenshots and text messages and
Receipts. I
yeah,
likey.
I was impressed. So yeah, I'm happy in the direction that the show is going, and I definitely feel like if they're going to go in a messier direction, Suki is the one to get us there. So if we could get
I,
her on the tell-alls for the other shows, I think that would increase the ratings across the board.
I tweeted, well done, 90 Day. Tell all is one. This tell all is one of the best I've seen in a long time. I can't remember the last time I was entertained with a tell all.
I know. I feel the same way. I feel the same way. So yeah, hopefully that is a direction that we're moving in. But I'll figure they haven't filmed the happily ever after tell all yet. I don't think. Did they, Gina? I don't remember now. Actually, I
I
think
don't
they
think so.
okay, yeah, I don't think they did. So I'll as soon as they film it, I'll be able to find out, who
Or
hosted
maybe they
it.
did already.
I'll have to check and see because you know what? We're on like episode 8 or 9. It would have filmed around episode 1 or 2. So I think that it's already filmed. So I'm gonna have to ask around and ask if Sean was involved. Because I
Yes.
can easily get that information. But again, she has executive producer credit. So it's harder to fire someone from a position when they're in charge. So
But
I don't know how long we're gonna have to put up with her, but as long as she's an executive producer, she can make the highest decisions, right? Like that it's harder to get rid of someone like that.
yeah, I guess we'll see what happens. But let's see. Hold on. I just want to see how many episodes of torture we have with Happily Ever After.
think we just watched episode 8, if I'm not mistaken, this past Sunday.
No, but I just want to see, like, you know how IMDb has the like episode count? I just want to see how many episodes because I'm so bored with it. Every
I
episode is not a Tom Cruise episode. This is not Love Island. They're trying, but still, try harder.
Yeah, we just watched episode 8. So let me see if there's an episode guide. No, there's not an episode guide that I see. It's season 9.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't see how many are specifically in this season. But
Oh my God, we're going into like September.
yeah, it's gonna be at least 18. 18 is like the new
Oh my
number of
God.
episodes. It's
See,
never gonna be any less than that.
oh, see, I could watch Love Island for days and days on end. I can't. I complain about there being 13 episodes for 90 day. Like, what is wrong?
Yeah, we're done with the 13 episode seasons. It's usually between 16 and 18 now. It's been like that for quite
Oh,
a while.
I know, wishful thinking when you're not seeing a lot of entertainment on TV, but it is what it is. But we'll have to keep, hopefully, Love Island games as a prospect for entertainment. I'm going to see if it's on. I don't know if it's on Hulu for you. Is it on Hulu for you?
Oh, I have no idea. I would have to look. I
Yeah,
think it
I'll see.
comes on Peacock.
Yeah, it comes on Peacock. Sorry. It was the other Love Island UK that was on Hulu, but we never got into that. So, because I can't, it's not on my app too, so I can't watch it. I can only watch the old seasons. So, Love Island games. Oh no! I can't find it. It's not on my app. Oh no, I have to find somewhere else to watch it.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
I think it's on Peacock is where I would watch it. Actually, that's
Okay.
the only place that I can watch Love Island is on Peacock.
Yeah, I can only watch it on one of my apps here, but Love Island Games. But there's a season, this is season 2, but the Love Island Games, season 1 is not on the app that I watch it. So I'm gonna have to pray to the gods that it's gonna be on this app, or else I'm gonna be screwed.
And it'll
But I'll
probably
find
show
it.
up. Maybe it's just not on there yet. All right, so we're gonna wrap. We'll be back. Actually, we'll probably be back at sometime in the next couple of days because we're gonna record another pop culture episode. There's a bunch of stuff to talk about in the music industry, the entertainment, pop culture industry, lots of weird stuff going on. So we'll be back to talk about that soon. We'll be recording that. And that's it for this season of Love Island. It's a wrap. Not many people made it out as a couple. We talked about that. So, but we're looking forward to the Love Island games. Hopefully, it'll be something that'll keep us entertained until we can get another season of Love Island probably next year. Sounds so weird
Hmm.
saying, right? We got to wait a whole year. But hopefully, Love Island games will keep us entertained at least while we're waiting to get there. So, thank you so much for listening. Thanks again.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. And we'll talk to you soon.
Good night. Bye.
Bye.